Hey you, it's True with a quick review of the new I have an echo. Hey you, it's True with a quick review of the new DonQuixote. And with her we finally have a successor of Cerberus, this relentless fire knight. Is a bit on the slower side with a speed of 328, but yeah, she is a guardian and she also has the best attack skills ever seen on a guardian. Her first one is called Heated Lance, gives 2 spirit, costs 80 time units, 250% damage to one enemy, 500% if DonQuixote is burning, and 1000% damage if all units on the battlefield are burning. Now granted, we have some permanently burn immune units at this point, so if you are facing a Momotaro for example, this 1000% damage will not activate. But even at 500% damage, this is not bad because this is also an execute skill, ignoring any effects of non-boss enemies that would prevent the target from being defeated. On top of that, another random ally, so not herself, is granted piercing, which means their next attack will ignore enemy damage reduction effects if they do that attack at their next turn. Now her next skill is the one that the hopes of the burn crowd rest on, I would say. It is her instant skill called Overflowing Burn, 0 spirit cost. It burns all units on the battlefield and grants them a burn shield. Yes, we are getting burn shields now, and these burn shields prevent the next non-burn status effect a unit would gain while burning from applying. Basically, from what I can tell, this is basically a double burn. Also keep in mind that this means all units on the battlefield that are not burn immune, allies and enemies alike. So not only will her teammates more permanently burn, but also the enemy team, if it's not a burn team, might have trouble getting rid of that burn status effect. Additionally, this skill Overflowing Burn also grants DonQuixote the Healing Burn for 300 time units, not to be confused with Mega Healing Burn, so this one only heals very slowly and can be easily overwritten. But also this skill heals all other allies for 1000% of the user's attack, and even though DonQuixote's attack stat is not super high given that she's a guardian, this should come pretty close to a full heal if she is properly leveled. The skill doesn't end there yet, because allies also gain 1 spirit for each unit on the battlefield that is burning, so up to 8, similarly to skills like Burning Spirit that we already saw on other burn units. Then this instant skill is locked for 100 time units. And her third active skill is unlocked whenever DonQuixote damages an enemy with another attack. And you better watch out for this one, because while it costs 1 spirit and 60 time units, both of which not crazy, what it can do is pretty crazy. It targets all enemies, deals 1500% damage to one random enemy and 500% to the other ones. Then all allies heal for 500% of DonQuixote's attack. And yet again, this is an execute skill, so this could potentially take out all enemies. And while it doesn't ignore armor, it does ignore the counterstand status effect and skin passive skills. And who knows, maybe she gets some piercing from Zhuge Liang, and this can become one of the most devastating attacks in the game. Talking of crazy damage scalings, her last skill ain't too bad either, and it is called the Lance Cannon. 80 time unit cost, 1 spirit, and deals 1000% damage to one enemy. And this is also a life flip attack, which can only be used if DonQuixote is below 50% HP. This is also an execute skill. This also doesn't ignore armor, and this one actually has a usage limit of 3 times per battle. Not a whole lot, but given her extreme HP, this is probably sensible. On the other hand, given all her healing, this might not be all that easily unlocked to begin with. Because every time DonQuixote takes damage from an attack and survives until after the end of the turn, She will heal for 10% of max HP for each burning ally on the battlefield. So if she is with a burning team, that is a 40% heal. Combine that with an insane 80% damage reduction from attacks for the first 150 time units on the battlefield. Afterwards, it's still 40% damage reduction from attacks, which given her Guardian HP is really nothing to scoff at. Now another very nice side effect of her getting attacked and surviving is that a random burning non-Guardian ally, very specific, will immediately get the turn by having its time units reduced to 0. So that is also a nice touch. That's already half of her second passive, Unwavering Strength. As is standard for burn units nowadays, she is also permanently stun immune. And then there's a little slight gimmick, I would say, at the end of each ally unit's turn while DonQuixote is on the battlefield. If there are 4 or more burning units on the battlefield, a random burning non-water enemy will be stunned for 25 time units. Now 25 time units ain't all that much, and there are quite a few conditions stuck on to that in terms of having all these burning units and having also a burning non-water enemy that can then get stunned. But given that this is on each ally unit's turn, this can definitely stack on any non-stun immune enemy that isn't water. Now looking up to her first passive that is called the Hero's Journey, DonQuixote is a Guardian with a 100% redirect chance for at least one hit aimed anywhere. As a standard, this does not redirect skills that don't deal damage, and also obviously skills that explicitly ignore Guardians. She is permanently immovable, which is definitely a must after Momotaro's release, especially for burn teams. She enters the battle with Mega Healing Burn for 100 time units, so that is the strong kind that heals at 20 times the rate of Healing Burn and cannot be overridden by burn, poison or sleep status effects, unless, you know, it specifies it in a skill like we saw on Parry, for example. She also starts with an instant death ward, and at the end of each of the first 3 turns, DonQuixote gets on the battlefield. She burns all units on the battlefield. Because the overflowing burn isn't enough, she is granted Mega Healing Burn again for 100 time units, and she is granted another instant death wards, just in case, you know, there is somebody spamming instant deaths, something that is not really possible at this point, especially in quick succession. But I guess it's possibly a nice way to future-proof it. But keep in mind that these instant death wards cannot stack, and they are only protecting against executes that don't deal any damage. So yeah, especially early on, this Guardian is absolutely crazy. Unless you get rid of the Mega Healing Burn and put her team to sleep. That's where Parry comes in, I guess. And that is also why I'm not convinced yet that this can turn around the boat for Burn yet. At least in completion, I do think that Burn will have a better time now against all kinds of poison teams, teams that rely on stealth, cursed teams obviously, yeah, the Storm Stun teams obviously will also struggle with this kind of opposition. All that is to say, it is very easy to tell a recommendation on this unit. Every burn team absolutely should get this DonQuixote fully awakened. Yes, there is no awakening scaling in her skill set directly, but the stats are absolutely important as a Guardian. Her HP need to be as high as possible. Her defense masteries need to be up there, and she can also deal some crazy damage, so it is a win-win to try to maximize her. As for other teams, including Poison and Stealth and Sleep, despite not having any stuns against her own team, she should be an easy skip for you. There is some hybrid potential for certain units. Ideally, those should have a Hold Ground Plus, not rely on counter stance or stealth status effect or purification. Someone like Kronos and a few others come to mind, but unless you have a specific idea for a hybrid, it is a safer bet to just skip, especially considering that you might end up helping pure enemy burn teams with DonQuixote on your own team. That's it, hit that like button if you found this review helpful, and as always, thanks for watching!